Okay, I will give my uneducated opinion, and then you all who know things can
I don't
correct
know
me.
things.
I don't think it is, but I think the flaw, the reason it isn't working is voter engagement. I think democracy won't work unless people actually engage with it. It's not a reason to dispose of it. There's a big difference between the average Kiwi and the average Kiwi voter. The average Kiwi is in a is in a worse position, be it financially or socially or whatever, than the average Kiwi voter. This is the way I read it anyway.
Yeah, I think part of the problem with disengagement as well, though, is around education about issues. And part of that is to do with our media environment, which I don't think is engaging people particularly well. I think that people actually quite responsibly often don't want to vote if they don't feel educated about the issues that they're voting on. I don't know what the solution is for that, though. Public broadcasting, maybe, or civics education in schools, I think would be a really good idea so that people actually understand the system that they're interacting with as well, because so many people don't understand MMP, how MMP works.
I don't understand how that works.
It's complicated. It's a complicated system, and it's not something that you can pick up and, it actually can't be explained in, 10 seconds. It needs a bit more than that. And a lot of people, I don't think, are actually given the opportunity to do that. And I think it's kind of ludicrous that you could finish high school, turn 18 and actually not understand how a system of government works when you're then expected to vote in it. And I think that actually that is a failure of our democracy, but it's something that the state should be taking responsibility for and isn't.
And I was so I voted the last time round, and I was on the multi-electorate, and I received the general whatever it is when I went in to vote in Graylin. Actually, I just got that. And then I received something in the mail that was just like, oh, your vote didn't actually count because they gave me the general when I was supposed to be on the multi-electorate. And I was like, how was I supposed to know? That was my first time voting and my vote didn't count because I voted for,
That's shit.
But that's you being sent the wrong form.
Yeah.
As in like when you walk into the room, so you turned up to vote and they gave you the wrong
I know, and it was my first time voting, so I was like, okay, I guess I just fill out these papers. And
that's bizarre because they have the roll in front of them, right?
Yeah.
They tick your name off the list. So
how could they screw
it shouldn't
up that
matter what
badly?
you walk in the door.
Make you feel like your vote doesn't
and then I felt like, am I one of those people that didn't vote, which is really bad? Am I one of those people?
You try.
Not intentionally, but it turns out that my vote didn't count.
Yeah.
When I voted last election, I had no idea who I was voting for.
Yeah.
But because my family voted for one particular party, I voted for that party.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like they don't realise how important civics engagement is. It's like when you're 18, you're in high school and you're like, oh, I still have to have my hand up to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
But then I'm expected to vote for my future, which I have no idea what this whole system is about. And that's why civics engagement is so important. There's such a huge disengagement within youths itself.
Yeah. That's one thing I find frustrating about hoardings and stuff, I don't really care what you look like. I don't care... I care what party you're with, I suppose, but really, rather than seeing names and faces plastered along the side of the street in the months leading up to an election, I just want a copy of everybody's policies in my mailbox so I can have a look through and go, well, I agree with that, I don't agree with that, don't agree with that. Then you have to gauge for yourself whether or not you put any stock or believe what they're saying. But... I have no doubt that National will put out policies that I go, well, that sounds reasonable, but then whether or not you trust them to, actually deliver is a whole other issue.
And also the big problem is the fact that, let's face it, this society has become quite lazy. And if we want to learn people's policies, we have to look it up ourselves, and people just can't be bothered with it. So that's why they don't know anything. That's why they don't vote. So, if we get every party's policies in the mail, we actually educate ourselves that way, or some way that we can actually actively educate each policies and what we identify with, we'll have a much better voter turnout. Because people are like, oh, I just know they're right wing, or I just know they're left wing, and I'm not ready for that. It was like, well, there might be that wing, but there might be policies in there that you actually agree with.
What about mandatory voting? Like in Australia, you have to vote. So you have to turn up on the day to vote or vote in advance, and you'll be fined if you don't. It's like a significant
So
fine.
there's a fine.
There is a fine. It's like I
Okay.
think it's like $1,000 or something like that. And so there are some people that don't, but very few. So you have to go, and if people are really object to being made to vote, then often they'll cast like a protest vote. It will be an invalid voting form. But
But
you
even that's
have
better than
to
not voting at all,
Yeah.
right?
right? Yeah, exactly. Because I think it would probably encourage you to put, more thought into it, even if it's just like, what's your gut instinct on the day,
Yeah.
and maybe knowing that you have to go regardless, so you might as well do it properly. I don't know. I wonder if that might encourage people to.
I don't know. I kind of feel like anything where you put like it's mandatory, I feel like can get a bit complicated. Just because I don't know, I just feel like that's like my anti-authoritarian. Why are you I don't want to vote now because you're telling me to do it. I think. But one thing, sorry, just before we move on to the next topic, one thing that I found interesting was when I was reading about in the election last time round, how they were saying the different whether you agree if prisoners should be able to have the right to vote.
Yeah.
Because their freedom has been essentially taken away from them. So are they citizens and do they have the right to vote?
There is a logic that, like, I've expressed the opinion in the past that, if you've been removed from society in that way, then you don't get to participate in certain ways. Like, I get that logic, but then there is a flip side to that.
They're still citizens, and the only reason that they can
Exactly.
be held in custody by the state is because they are citizens. And a fundamental part of being a citizen is being able to engage in
Totally.
democracy, and the punishment is removal of their liberty by being in prison. That is it, So, I mean, it kind of goes into sort of narratives around really punitive justice and like they don't deserve good food and they shouldn't have a Christmas meal and blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. Like, well, that's not the punishment, actually. The punishment is them being
In prison.
That is in and of itself.
Absolutely.
So, removal of extra liberties, which are,
Well, it's a human right.
Yeah.
It's a human right to be able to vote.
And also, like, what is the purpose? Like, who does that serve?
Exactly.
Who benefits from prisoners not being able to vote?
I kind of think we should all be considering them in our vote, because they can't and they're affected by our vote. So in that sense, while I said, I kind of think, well, on the one hand, yes, if you've been removed from society, then you are removed from certain processes. At the same time, if you're in prison, you are one of the more
in a very vulnerable
underserved.
position.
Yeah, you're in a vulnerable position. You're one of the more underserved members of society. If you still consider somebody in prison to be a member of society, it's like, I see both sides, but I think I would tend to. I don't know. I mean, if you'd asked me this last election, I probably would have said no. I don't think they should be able to vote. I think my opinions swayed since then, but informed by that idea of
the thing
those
is, like,
responsible.
why are they in prison? What's the ultimate goal of being in prison?
I think it comes down to whether or not you think people should go to prison to be punished, or whether you think they should go to prison to be rehabilitated.
Also,
Or not go to prison
not go to
and
prison.
If your focus is on punishment, then of course you're going to say, well, they did something wrong, so they don't get to do certain things.
Yeah, but even if it is punitive, though, right? Like, how much of a punishment is not being able to vote? It's not like, no.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't understand what purpose it serves.
Yeah.
Stupid policy.
Should we go on to the next?
Shall we?
Shall we?
Also, potentially racist policy as well because of
Overrepresentation.
The disproportionate.
Overrepresentation of Māori in prison. Overrepresentation of Māori women in prison.
Which is
I would
extremely
argue-
high.
I would argue that it's not that Māori women are necessarily committing more crimes,
no,
but that they're just more likely to be targeted, surveilled, apprehended, and in prison for
systematic
longer
bias the whole way
periods.
through.
than
Not to
non-Māori
mention,
women.
there are plenty of Māori women, obviously, not in prison, whose
Not
votes
in
are
prison.
invalidated.
Case in point.
Okay, I'm going to read this aloud. One of the key problems today is that politics is such a disgrace, good people don't go into government. I have it. Okay, this is my unscholarly opinion. I always think that there's a type of person that's attracted to politics.
Yep.
A little bit. Oh wait, depends what type of. I guess it's where you sit on the spectrum. Narcissism, a little bit, but then again, I wouldn't say that for everyone. Never good to generalise, because people are unique. Good people don't go into politics. And I would ask, what is a good person? Is that a law-abiding person? Is that what makes a good person?
Is it an educated person?
Is it an educated person? Is it a conformist? Is it
Taking it broader though, I think that the drama that happens in politics often, the scandal politics does turn a lot of people off politics in general, not necessarily in terms of like going into politics and becoming a politician, but just in terms of paying attention to it, because it's kind of fatiguing. And to a point that actually I think it, in some situations, is a deliberate tactic. It's the sort of the shock. Yeah. Oh, what's her name? Naomi Klein, the shock doctrine. It's like you tire people out by always having scandal and shock, and then they disengage. And I mean, Trump, case in point, I think,
extreme example.
Everybody's real extreme example.
But this is the thing, though. Like at the same time, good politicians are boring. And we live in an age of clickbait. So
totally.
it's the badly behaved, it's the outspoken, it's the outrageous shit, the things that are going to make you angry, going to make you click on that link that people report on. Whereas I would argue that there are a lot of good people in politics, but they're just not covered as widely in the press. So
because actually, if you're a good politician and you're just doing your job, but
nobody notices.
Exactly.
And there's that whole.
Is it really
a politics disgraces, or is it the media disgraces politics?
Well, yeah,
because the thing is, we live for drama, and this is what gives media their ratings. And so this is what they do. They take something little, make it completely absurd, and then everyone's like, oh, they shouldn't have done that, things like that. But then it's like, this isn't actually what politics is about. It's about, creating policies that are best for everyone and things like that. Yeah. So it makes you wonder whether good people go into government because, politics is what they really like, or if it's because, they want to change some aspect of government, or whether it's about, do people think good people don't go in because of the disgrace that media portrays politics to be?
Also, I mean, going into politics, there are a lot of ways of being involved in politics which aren't being an MP as well, so maybe we're talking about how good people are involved in it. It's in more of a lobbying or a campaigning capacity or
volunteering.
Yeah, exactly. There are lots of ways to be political, which aren't
but again, that can be hard to maintain, and it can also be an easy position to exploit by those who are less scrupulous.
Also, if you're working multiple jobs to pay rent and feed your family, then your capacity to actually be involved in politics as well is a lot lower.
Should we go on to the next?
Shall we?
Next. Speakeasy. Dictatorship naturally arises out of democracy. And the most aggravated form of tyranny, thank you, and slavery out of the most extreme liberty. Okay, well.
So it's kind of saying...
Pour me some more whiskey.
Tyranny is...
Sorry, I need to read it. I'm a visual person.
I was living in Australia when Tony Abbott won the election and was like, no, come on, fuck, what?
What's happening?
Yeah, and I was determined to avoid watching the election coverage, but failed when Trump came to power. And so I've watched those guys in a democratic process come to power, but they're good examples in varying degrees of that, of these sort of, like, he just gave zero fucks about what people thought, The frustrating thing is, he might have been right. All of the times he said, most Kiwis don't care about X, Y, Z, whatever, he might have been right. because it worked for him, you know, like, I mean, and that is distressing as it.
No, I think that, like, quite possibly, which kind of goes back to the previous conversation around voter engagement and, you know, civics and all that kind of stuff. But also, I think in his case, it was very much a stall tactic until they got their polling results back, which took a couple of days, and they needed something to sort of like blag answers for a little bit until they'd worked out what the popular opinion was going to be.
That's true. He was very good at saying nothing, with using a lot of words to say very little.
White, grey, black. Yeah.
But I think this question lends itself more to the Trump situation than anything, right? Like, we are looking at this potential sort of extreme dictator type.
The key one's interesting, right? Because like their government has used urgency, for example, to pass more legislation than any previous government. So you know, if you're talking about dictatorship, well, they like have actively removed checks and balances from their legislative process, which in New Zealand is possible because so much of our constitution and our legislative processes sort of rely on convention. Yeah, exactly. Our unwritten constitution, Park. But yeah, it relies on convention, and it's really easy. It kind of relies on good faith, and it assumes that everybody's going to do the right thing.
They changed immigration and employment law under the state of emergency declared after the Christchurch earthquake.
Yeah.
It was like none of those laws had nothing to do with that situation. But they were like, cool,
they removed the democratic.
It was around about the time of the whole Hobbit thing and all of that sort of stuff. And so they were kind of just doing what the hell they wanted because they had this excuse. I mean, it's just...
But they were passing legislation under urgency for issues entirely unrelated to that as well. They were just... They realised it was a thing they could do. Like, let's go with it though, you know.
Carte blanche. Let's put through whatever we need to put through right now.
Shut up! It's over! Speakeasy, guys!
Kia ora.